Good afternoon, everyone. Traditionally, we say Assalamu alaikum, which means peace and blessings on all of you. My name is Atif Chaudhry. I am the founder, trustee of this organization, nonprofit. It's a church. It's a mosque. We call it a masjid in the Arabic language. I've been in Charlotte for 10 years now, serving in the university area. And before that, I was in New Jersey. I grew up in New Jersey, but my Islamic education as a clergy person, as an imam, is from Pakistan, Islamabad. So when I moved to Charlotte, one of the things that brought me to this beautiful place was I wanted a better place to raise my children. So when we moved 10 years ago, it was the best decision that I had made. And in the process, we developed this strong, vibrant Muslim community because there were a lot of mosques in Charlotte, but the numbers of Muslims kept on growing. And we noticed that in the South Charlotte region, so the suburbs, Weddington, Waxhaw, Marvin, there are a lot of Muslim families. In Weddington alone, we estimate that there's 15 to 20 families. And if we add Waxhaw, if we add the areas that are next to it, there's a lot more. So there's hundreds. In our mailing list, we have around 500 people. So one of the questions that we usually get is that how big your congregation is? Not really. We get 50 people. But when we moved to the south, we started from Matthews, we moved to Ballantyne, and nowadays we do our weekly sermon, which happens Friday at 1:30 to roughly 2 o'clock, 2:30. It's not longer than that. It's just 1 hour. So 1 hour of the day, every Friday, we have a congregation that comes together. And if you live around Marvin Ifrit Park, I believe that's the name of the park, we're using the barn over there temporarily because we don't have a location. We have a community in the last 2.5 years because we were started, I'll just move this. And this is so you know who we are. We started in January 22. We did a survey. We asked a lot of people. We looked at the map. There's around 15 masjids or mosques in the greater Charlotte area, but all of them are in the north. So when you come down from uptown, Masjid Shahid is this African-American, beautiful community, beautiful congregation. But for the people that live in the south of Charlotte, the closest mosque is around half an hour. There's one in Pineville as well. But for a lot of people, like if you live in Wesley Chapel, right? Wesley Chapel, which is to the west, if you drive across, even though technically you're in the south, if you drive across, it can take you half an hour to get to Pineville sometimes. So one of the complaints was that we need a place that's closer because the community, like every community in Charlotte, since the pandemic, has grown. And the Muslim community, relatively a lot smaller, we're just a percentage of the larger community, but relatively, it also has grown. And because of that, there was a need. So even though our congregation is maybe 50 people, we have monthly family nights where we bring families together. Because for us, Rahma Center really was a place to teach our children, a place where we can have a sense of identity, where we can build a future. Because I'm a product of a mosque in New Jersey. But now my children, they really don't have a place. So what we're doing is we're trying to establish a place where we can protect our children, protect their faith, and build strong family values around a safe space. We want the mosque to be a place where they self-identify, where they meet and interact with other Muslims. And when I say that, you're looking at me, you're like, wait, but what are you? Ethnically, I'm South Asian, but a mosque is not around ethnicities. Generally, a lot of the mosques in Charlotte, even though you'll get stronger majorities in some of these places, but it's open to everyone. So if you were to visit us, and this is an offer that we give to everyone, full transparency, we don't even change our message if someone is coming. We have an open door policy that you can join us any day in Marvin Ifrit Park and listen to what we have to say. And look at the community. You're going to see people that are African American. You're going to see people that are Arab. You're going to see people that are South Asian. It's a very diverse crowd. So this is not an ethnic group. The Muslim community is very diverse in South Charlotte. So we're trying to serve all of them, giving them a place where they can develop their youth. We welcome everyone, and we make sure that we're engaging in the community. The last 10 years that I've been in Charlotte, I've been the Muslim Life Coordinator at Queen's University. Have you guys heard of Queen's? I've been there in the chapel. I worked with the rabbi. I worked with the church. I've also been on the advisory committee for Mecklenburg County for their Muslim students in the school board. I've also facilitated interfaith programs. So for us, it was never about being isolated. Sometimes there's this misconception that as Muslims, we tend to stick to ourselves. But the reality is that's not what we're looking to do. That was the first generation. My parents were like that. The reason was because it was immigrant mentality, right? When you come, you keep your head down and you just live. You do what you can to survive for your children. And second generation, I grew up in New Jersey. From my accent, you might not assume, right? A lot of people make assumptions when they see me, but today was Friday. So today I'm wearing what I would wear to the sermon. You won't always see me in these clothing. But I wanted to show this to you because we're not hiding ourselves. We want you to know who we are. Our doors are open. And one thing that we want to be clear on, because we did get feedback from the previous meetings. Now, we got bad information. I'm going to be very upfront with all of you. We were told that I did not have to come to the meeting because our consultant, the guy we hired, that he was enough. But we heard you. We sent representatives. They didn't do a good job either because they didn't have all the answers. So now I'm on the board. I started this organization. We're looking to build this location for our children. We're looking to build this for our community. Now, the impression that was given was that there's a strong fear that you're going to come, you're going to flip this place. I want you to know, in Islamic law, once a place is designated as a place of worship, it can't be sold. So it's like a trust. So once we establish this as a place of worship, we can't sell this to anyone else. It will remain a place of worship forever. So there's no question that this is going to be sold to a developer or someone else. No, we're buying this for ourselves. And if you go to our social media, if you search our name, Rahma Center, you can see pictures from January 2022 and all the locations we've jumped around. We've went to the Hampton Inn in Ballantyne. We went to recreational centers in Matthews, multi-purpose rooms. We rented out barns. We rented out whatever we could to serve our community. But what happens is when you're moving around, you don't see the support. You don't see the real potential. And this is why we're trying to purchase something that is also future-proof. So even though 50 people in our congregation, so if you were to visit us today, I counted, we had like 56 people. That's not a lot of people. But we are hopeful that in the future, maybe the congregation can grow. The estimate that we have in the greater Charlotte, not in the south, in the greater Charlotte area, there's maybe 40,000 Muslims. This is an estimate that we have based off of the number of mosques. We have our annual Eid prayer, which is like Christmas or Easter, or it's our major holiday. So that's one of the largest congregations that we have, where most of the mosques in Charlotte come together and they pray together. So there is a strong network. There is a system where we support each other. So even though this is, a group of people that are coming together, not more than 100 people, in terms of finances, we have the support of the larger Muslim community. There's a lot of doctors, there's a lot of engineers, we have people that live on 12 Mile Creek Road. And if you've seen the houses over there, these are very blessed people, affluent by every sense of the word. So that's the donations that we're getting. When we were fortunate and we found this property, we looked at a lot of properties, by the way. We saw property on Providence, we saw properties that were in Matthews, we saw properties that were in Waxhaw. The last 2.5 years we've been searching one property after another. Either there was an environmental issue, either there was another issue, either there was something else. And then we settled when we were offered this opportunity. And when we saw this, we told the community, hey, this is where we're going. Guess what happened? Everyone that lived in this area reached out to us and they said that we're so happy. This is 5 minutes from my house. This is 10 minutes from my house. I'm across the street. I live not too far. I live on Newtown Road. So a lot of people told us, and that's when we realized, okay, we hit the jackpot. this is the right location for us, and this is a permanent location for us, because we're trying to build a community with the support of people that want to help us. And when we first introduced this community, now 50 people is not a lot for our Friday sermon, but when we first introduced this to our community, within 3 weeks, we raised $500,000. So the question of, okay, can you afford the property? We have financing in place. The down payment is ready. The only thing we're really worried about right now is the zoning and a few of the other stuff that our colleagues are going to talk about as well. So that's the concern. I want to be very clear that this is not like a hop in, hop out situation. We're coming here to be a part of this community. We want you to know that this is not an investment in terms of, flipping or something like that. This is something where we're trying to settle because it's a safe area. Considering a lot of what's going on in this country right now, we have a responsibility to our congregants that we want to make sure that we're safe. And we, for the last 6 years, in all of our major events, have had security. We hired extra police officers from Mecklenburg County that would attend all of our events, just to be on the safe side. We never had an issue. We had a strong relationship with our communities, with our neighbors in the past. We've never really had an incident. But just to be on the safe side, this has always been a priority for us. That whatever community we go to, we want to add to it, not take away from it. So that's our angle. And I don't think there's anyone higher up, from the board, from me, Faris, who's here, who's also a board trustee, the people who came up with this idea and who are looking really a home. We're looking for a home. And we know our home isn't going to be close to your home, so you're concerned, and we respect that. And we want to make sure that no one feels that this is something, vague, or there's something, fishy going on. No, we want full transparency. We want you to know what we're going through and where we are in terms of making this happen for our community and our congregation. So that's just to talk about who we are. I'm going to see if I can move to the next one. There's one. This is just the location. I was going to talk about which I pretty much mentioned, the surrounding areas, Marvin, all these places, we have people, strong community. One of the reasons why we really love this place is because in other locations we had to build, and building takes time. So over here, there was already a structure. This is not exact, it's less than 5,000 square foot, it's less than that, but there was a space that we can renovate and use a minor amount of what potentially we wanted to spend and move in as quickly as possible. So that's the idea. We wanted to use the barn. It was close, it was convenient, it was accessible for a lot of the Muslims. The furthest masjid from here is 30 minutes away. There's a lot of things going for this property. This is the reason we chose this property. So one of the number one things that really mattered to us, that we can go, and for those of you that have been to that barn, with minor renovations, whatever needs to be done, we can move in and start operating. Like I said, for the last 2.5, more than that, years, we've been jumping around, and it's been really difficult for our community. So the idea of finding a community, and that space is not that big. The barn's not huge, but it's more than enough for us where we are right now. So that gives us great potential to move in quickly, but then also have that option in the future. And whatever happens in the future, we always, we have to come back to you, right? We have to come back to the board. We have to come back to the city council. We have to come back and get everything approved anyway. We're not trying to do anything that would go against city laws, regulations, ordinances. We want everything to be by the book, and we want this to be done in the best way possible. So I was hoping for our consultant to be here, but he's not here yet, so I'll talk about it. In the meantime, these are all the due diligence that we're doing right now. These are the estimates, these are the people that we've spoken to, all the concerns that you brought in the last 2 meetings. We brought it up to people, experts, and asked them, okay, what are the things that we need to get done? So the building inspection, the architect, we spoke to him in regards to whether there's a need for the sprinkler system and what other options, alternatives there might be for that to be accessible for us, because we're not an event. It's not going to be an event venue. So the zoning is a little bit less. For religious use, we're not going to be using that as much as if it was a wedding hall or something else, whatever they were using in the past. But for us, for it to be zoned as religious, what are the things that we need? The septic evaluation, all the environmentals, the asbestos, the things that we need to have done. We're in the process, and those reports are coming in. So we are doing the due diligence. We're paying whatever needs to be paid. But in terms of like the number over there, again, like I said, in 3 weeks we raised close to $500,000. For us, $28,000 is part of the process. This is not super expensive considering the price and location of the property. So we understood from the get-go that this is something that is expected. This is something that we have to get done, and we're not going to shirk, or we're not going to avoid the things that are necessary. We also spoke to our attorneys. We asked them what are the things that could be done, what are the things that we could work on, the applications, all the other expenses. This is something that he was going to talk on. I know there's going to be a lot of questions. I wanted him to answer those questions because he is the professional when it comes to that. But if there's anything else, please, I'll open up the floor. Yes, please.
First, I have several questions, but just to get the conversation started. First of all, thank you so much for your presentation. It's really helpful to get clarity on your expectations and your aspirations for the project. And in terms of I'm not clear on the use of the center. I heard 50. Is that 50 families or 50 people?
50 people.
50
so
people. Okay.
We have 50 people that come to the congregation right now, but it can be more. So it fluctuates between 120 and 50. So if it's the weekly congregation, it's a smaller number. If it's the monthly family night, we'll probably get 100 people. And when we do get 100 people, we counted the cars at Cruz Recreational Center in Matthews. It's not more than 30 cars.
Okay, so and the second question is, the land cost is 1.5 million, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then you have this due diligence cost, and then the improvements that you plan to put on the property. What is the cost of that?
So we in the process of getting some of the numbers for the improvements, and so we're hoping it's possibly another $200,000 to $300,000 in addition to the land cost.
Could you speak up just a little?
I said about $200,000 to $300,000 in addition to the land cost.
Okay.
Okay,
And it's not structural, so it's a lot of it is plumbing for bathrooms, which already exist, and that's about it. For us, if any of you have, let me just ask, have any of you visited a mosque in the past? Okay, so when you enter a mosque, what's the first thing you see? It's an empty space. It's just a hall. So we pray on the floor. So our form of worship is bowing and prostration. So we don't even have chairs like how this room is filled up. So if you have chairs, if you have things like that, you need more space. But when we pray, we're praying shoulder to shoulder, very close to each other. It's a very intimate prayer. And in that, there's not a lot that we actually need. So if you've seen the barn already, that pretty much in terms of space fulfills all of our needs. What we do need to take care of is the bathrooms and to make sure that everything is up to date because it hasn't been maintained well for the last, the previous owner I think bought it in 2012? 2013. So it hasn't been maintained. Our priority is to kind of landscape, clean it up, make sure it's good enough for our families, it's good enough for our children. And that high standard is pretty much there because the people that are going to visit our congregation, the people who are going to participate and join us are the people that are coming from the surrounding areas. So if you live in a nice house and you go to a church that's really shabby, like it doesn't connect. So obviously we have our own expectations that we want to fix it just enough where we don't have to do any structural change for now. Our priority is to purchase the land, purchase the property, and then just pay it off. We're not looking to spend more than we need to.
but it's interesting because a $1.5 million purchase is a huge investment.
Sure.
for land that basically is going to remain raw based on what you're saying your needs are and what you intend to do. So if the investment after the purchase is only 300, and I know a little something about development because I am a developer, the ratio is really unusual. Typically, when you develop land, you know, land costs are going to be a fifth, a quarter, maybe a third of your purchase price based on the use. This is a rather unusual scenario. It's a huge outlay for land that you don't plan to do much with.
No, I never said we're not gonna do much with it. We do need a parking lot, we need a playground, we need a soccer field. We're going to develop it in a way where it's useful for us. But in terms of structure, for the time being, until the property is paid off and until our community actually grows, we don't need it for the time being. Like I said, in the future, if there's any change and if there's a new project, that's something that we would have to come back to you anyway. So I'm saying right now, for the foreseeable future, there's no plan of changing anything. Only priority we have is to pay off this very valuable property. But also, in the last 2.5 years, we looked at a lot of land. And as a developer, you know that the prices have skyrocketed. So wherever we went, where we wanted to be, because look, I can go out to the boonies. I can go out to somewhere that's half an hour away, but that would not fulfill our needs, right? We already have mosques that are 30 minutes away. The whole point is to come where the community already is.
So are you gonna use the house? Is someone gonna live in the house?
No.
And is it zoned residential currently?
Yes.
So I don't know if anyone's here from town of Weddington, but have.
Yes.
So what's the reason, how can they, when we're in town, we all moved to town of Weddington because it's residential. And I wanna know why we can get it, they can just ask for it and get it changed, number one. And number two, he's talking about a lot of changes that will come in the future, and that very much concerns us. And I don't think you have, I think the statement you made about how you have all the support around you is false, and I think you should probably gather those names, because there are a lot of people that, around the community where your mosque is gonna be, that don't support it. And has there been a traffic study to support what you're wanting to do, and with the amount of people you're having?
So,
I think if the state requires to do.
You need to speak louder.
Okay.
We can't hear you.
If the town requires to do a traffic study, or the NCDOT tells us to do a traffic study, we will do one. And we'll figure out what needs to be done and what needs to be taken care of. And we'll do that based on their recommendation.
Have you been at that property?
I have.
Well, and with the traffic, and understand the blind curves that are there, going in both directions? And
So,
you're trying to come out into there, I mean, with one exit, I mean,
yeah, I think
it's
that's why,
concerning, and it's safety concerns.
I think
for
that's
you
why
guys.
we had a hire expert on that field and do it based on what they say, right?
You need to go look at the traffic patterns at
Mhm.
different times of day and just kind of hang out there
Yeah.
and see how treacherous the roads are out there, that blind curve, that intersection.
There's two blind.
About the time you guys are getting out for prayer on Friday afternoon
Yeah.
is the time that high schools and elementary schools are traveling from Waxhaw, Wesley Chapel, right around that area, and it's already dangerous, very narrow roads.
They actually had a picture of it that they were showing. If I could tell you, I'm sorry, Imam, your
no
last name-
worries, no worries, please. We're here for this.
Okay,
But
so, yeah, if you, no, there was a closer shot, well, if,
12 Mile Creek.
I'm sorry, on this side, on
So
the right
this is the
side.
12 Mile Creek
No,
Road,
on the
right?
right side, that photograph.
The satellite image.
The satellite.
Yeah, and you go up that, okay, you can see it.
right
This is
there,
just a picture, this is not Google.
Understood. I go through this intersection twice a day, and I come down to go to the post office in Waxhaw. I travel down this way, and I have to take a right. And when I do that, you can't tell on this picture, but there's topography here, that where it not only curves, but it falls. So you're talking about the safety of your children. And I have to tell you, Mom, if I were in your shoes, this is not a good situation at all. Because there's no way, whenever I turn this corner here to the right, I gun it. Because you just simply cannot see. And to make matters worse, there's no
shoulder on these roads. They're narrow country roads.
Hard to be first.
That's our main point, is we're concerned that it should just remain residential on that corner. We fought the wedding venue in 2013 because of the road safety. It's not appropriate for that site. We don't feel like anything's appropriate there other than keeping that home a historical home. And I understand what you guys want to do. We just are opposed to it for the traffic situation. And also, we would like to advocate to keep this remained as a historical home site. And it does mention it in our land use plan. So this is a very unsafe area. You guys, I'm not sure that you're aware of that. It's,
Well, you can see the
Like
driveway.
I said, we will definitely do, some of these studies and due diligence, and make the decision at that
I
point.
live right next door,
Mhm.
and I actually have two driveways that I have like, how many acres in frontage, let me tell you, up here. Like 7, 8 on
Yeah.
Newtown. So we probably have about 8 acres on Newtown, or like the whole fence. And we have two driveways that actually enter there that we only use now because our house is being built. It is today, one of the trucks is, we have, in our neighborhood, we're not allowed to have really big trucks pull in, so we have to use that entrance. But they will be shut down. I won't let my kids drive out of them. The truck almost got in an accident today, and I'm trying to like compile some data from the DOT right now. There is an accident once a week. I mean, like a tragic accident every week there. I mean, I don't know if that matters to me. I mean, I'm gonna close my gates and they're gonna be closed once my house is done 2 weeks, so I won't be using it again. But if I was gonna have little kids and I was gonna have families that were trying to get out of that driveway, I would be concerned about that. I'm concerned about that because there are teenagers that are going to school in the morning and there are buses that can't even cross over the road. This isn't something you didn't make this happen. This is happening.
No,
And
we appreciate
I think that's the concern, is it's not just what traffic you're gonna be bringing, but the fact that this is creating more danger.
It is a
We really appreciate your
concern.
comments.
It's a
We'll take
concern
that
about
into
the
consideration,
traffic.
Take a look at it.
Like
Any
that.
other questions?
it is a concern about the traffic that you're gonna be bringing.
So if you can have one person at a time, she said.
You guys, first at the community meeting, we've been to all of them now. You said we're 18-member church, okay? Now it's up to 50. It's gonna be 100 in the parking lot or whatever. You guys are bringing traffic to our area. We're concerned for you. We're concerned for us. And,
So I think there was a misunderstanding in the first meeting. We did it, one said 18 people. That was 18 people on our executive committee with our board of trustees. That's our management. That was not the congregation, so he misspoke. We understand that there was mistakes that were made in the past, but our congregation is not 18. It is much more than that. But in terms of safety, this is something we also spoke to the Department of Transportation. We found out that this is actually one of the least traveled road in Weddington. So this is now, like I said, I don't live here, but this is what the Department of Transportation told us. So the survey that's going to be, hopefully, if it's needed, if it's something that would help alleviate this concern, we're willing to do that. We're not shying away from something that, you're right, is a concern for us as well. So if it is a problem, then it's a problem. But if it's not a problem, we see a lot of churches, we see a lot of homes, we see a lot of driveways that open into Newtown Road. And we're hoping that once we start working on this property, we were told that there might be a possibility of having, because we have quite a bit of frontage for this property. So there might be a way of having one entry and one exit to make it safer, where it's not just the one entrance that you see right now. So there are options for us to make this as safe as possible. This is why we're talking to our professionals, we're talking to the people who are going to guide us, because it's not just like, your concerns. You're right, this is a bigger concern for me. So if I'm exiting from this property and my 2 kids are in the back seat, I'm gonna think twice. So if it's safe for us and we're comfortable with this, I think we do want to respect the fact that there's a lot of people that are living on Newtown Road. Yes, please.
So you mentioned the Friday services from 1:30 to 2:30, and then I also heard you say youth nights and family nights. What are the timing and frequency of those?
So family nights are once a month, and it's usually Friday night at 7 p.m. So it'll be in the middle of the month, either the second Friday or the third Friday of the month. So that's once a month, and then the Friday is the regular congregation, that's once a week. And the youth, right now, we do it Wednesday evenings. Currently, we're doing it outside of the Pineville Library. So yesterday, 2 days ago, Wednesday, we had maybe 7 kids. So it's not that many people right now, but we're using the library, we're using whatever facilities we have available. So it's not like a lot of people are showing, it's usually just pick and drop. Yes, sir.
So after you have done all your little work there, how much more of this land are you going to then want to put other things on? What are those things, and how much of this land perks?
So right now, it's a parking lot, because there's nothing there, and then also, we just want to work on the barn, that's it. There's no other plan, there's no other projected building or anything like that. Like I said, for our needs, this is more than enough. But in the future, and it would be foolish for any congregation to not think of the future. So like, let's say my kids, 20 years later, are in a position to do better and to build something for their community. I wouldn't want to hamstring them by not doing the responsible thing right now and having suitable space. But for us, honestly, all we need is a soccer field and a parking lot. Yes, sir.
A playground.
I knew he said
Are
soccer
you
field.
want a park? You
No,
want
no,
a,
not a, but you don't need that much space for a soccer.
so you say it's not gonna be events, it's
No.
People are
prayer.
raising their hand in the back and not getting a chance to speak.
I'm so sorry.
So sorry.
Yes, sir.
I'm just reading, so I'm not familiar with mosques. So
Sure.
I looked it up. It says here, in addition to being places of worship in Islam, mosques also serve as locations for funeral service, prayers, marriages, vigils during Ramadan, business agreements, collection, distribution of alms, and homeless shelters.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
You said it's a multi-purpose building, functions as community centers, courts of law, religious schools, etc. So are we gonna expand to these?
no. So the men's shelter we work with is the men's shelter in Uptown. So if you've been to the men's shelter there, we work with them. We work with Second Harvest. We do food pantry, and there's other organizations that we, volunteer at. None of that stuff is at the location. We go to where the people have needs, so it's not here. And in terms of and for almsgiving, charity, nowadays it's over the phone. People give application on the website. We screen them to make sure that they're eligible, and we help with charity that way. So a lot of the philanthropy that's happening, it's not at the location. We're going to Uptown or where the people are in need. And the other thing that you had mentioned, like the funeral, there's only one cemetery in Charlotte for the Muslim community, and that's on the plaza close to the university area. So whenever there's a funeral, we all go there. So all of the mosques in Charlotte are using the single funeral home and the cemetery in Charlotte. We don't, like I said, that is sufficient for us. So this space will not have a cemetery. We're not asking to bury anyone here. There will be no funeral preparation or anything like that at this location, no. But there is seasonal prayers, Ramadan. There will be an increase. People will come for the daily prayers. People do gather at night, but that's after 8 p.m. in the evening. And it's not that many people. So depending on the time of the year. So for instance, every congregation will have around their holidays an uptick. We expect that as well. But it's not a regular thing where it would be a problem or a deterrence for the neighbors.
Are you gonna have full prayer?
The call to prayer is private, so it happens inside the building. The neighbors, even if you're outside the building, you can't hear it. So if you go to any mosque in Charlotte at the time of prayer, you will not hear the prayer. So in Muslim countries, it's a responsibility of the government to remind people so you will hear this public call to prayer. But in America, it's rare. This is not something that happens, and this is not something that will happen here either. Yes?
Yes, first of all, I want to say this is the third meeting that you've had, and this is the best one. The
Thank you.
first two meetings were, people were making the presentation. Unfortunately, we're not prepared, didn't have the information. And so for the residents and people that are here, we were obviously very concerned about what was taking place. My concern is Union County is one of the largest, fastest growing counties, not in North Carolina, not in the South in the United States. And you said that there's 40,000 Muslim members in your community in the
In the greater Charlotte, so that's from
Greater Charlotte.
Huntersville all the way down to Marvin.
Right, no, I understand that. So, with the fact that Union County is one of the most places that are getting such a number of people, I would assume that that means that also there are going to be a number of Muslim people who want to move to this Union County area, and in particularly the area where you're building your mosque. So right now you're talking about 50 people, and time goes quickly. I would imagine that your forecasts or projections are going to be in 5 years, that little barn, which we've been in already, may hold 50 people. But you're going to, and you said your hope is to build a mosque. And when you start building a mosque and you start getting residents who will become Muslims and coming into this area, what are your projections in 5 years? I mean, this is like anything else. You're probably going to realize that maybe you might even double in your enrollment. And then you're talking about real issues with traffic, with safety. And the one last thing I want to say is, this is the third meeting, right? You expressed, and we all agree about the safety for your children is your priority. And yet, at the third meeting, you have not done yet the traffic study about the dangers for your children for that piece of property. And I find that to be more or less irresponsible in your lack of really, that should be your priority of it. And this is the concern of the residents of this area. Our property is on Newtown Road, and we're the second property next to your property going down Newtown Road toward Providence. And so I can assure you, and we've been here for 30 years, and we've seen the traffic. And there's Culbertson High School, there's the regular high, I mean, it has grown like crazy. So I'm just saying that, you know, your lovely little piece of property and the number of families you have now, I can't imagine it's not going to double or triple in size in a very short period of time. And that's going to even create a bigger issue.
Now, to answer your question, this is one of the meeting of many meetings that we're gonna have for getting the zoning done, right? And like we mentioned, all this due diligence will be done prior to the planning meeting. Before we present, we will have those numbers, we will have those studies, we will present to them at that time. So we'll get, one by one, we'll get everything done before we actually purchase the property.
So we already started the process, it's just that the Department of Transportation has a backlog. So we are in the process, and thank you, I accept, and I appreciate the good in your comments and the concern, and you're 100% right. But I do want to emphasize, we're not just looking at the people in the future, because there's no way of telling, right? What we are looking at are the people that are already here. There are a lot of places of worship in Weddington, and I think the Muslim community is also really eager to also have a place that they can call theirs, right? You want, like all of you have a place that you can go, and there's a place where you find refuge. And for the Muslims in Weddington and Waxhaw, like that's something that they've always, wanted, and this is an opportunity for us. So for us, yes, we want to do everything by the book. We're gonna get whatever you asked for the survey, and you're right, we should have gotten that done earlier. But at that point, it was based off of the conversations that we had with the Department of Transportation. They said it wasn't necessary. But I'm gonna leave some of that technical stuff to Juan. He is here. Juan, can you answer that question? Is there anything you would like to add to that?
Yeah, we will have to submit an application.
Wait a minute.
A driveway application.
Excuse me, could you tell us who you are and I think you just level set before you start, that'd be great. Thank you.
My name is Juan Blue, and I'm with Chicor Design Consultants, and I was originally hired to fill out the application for this project, but not to evaluate the property or assess its usability. So generally, when you do this, when you're about to buy a piece of property, there are certain things you do before you do these other things. There's no point in us going forward and spending the money on an architect, and a TIA would cost $12,000 to $15,000 if we can't get a rezoning approved. So that's typically the way, and that's why the first meetings did not have that information. And but part of our submittal for driveway application will be a review from the DOT and from the staff for the town. They have a TIA ordinance, and based on our Weddington's ordinance right now, the numbers that we will generate in traffic doesn't require us to do a TIA.
What is a TIA?
Traffic impact.
Right.
Yeah.
And it essentially what it does is it's a model that we build, and it's based on how many trips, the type of use, and it gets into a lot more of what I took in school, but I'm a transportation engineer, I'm a civil engineer, and but it's an evaluation on what they anticipate the traffic would, the use would generate.
How many people do you have for the trips? Is it for the church? Is it off a number, or?
Yeah, so just let's see.
I find it difficult that they wouldn't, for a church, what you're asking, that there wouldn't be an impact study.
Hold on just a minute.
Okay.
The previous use, they did an evaluation on their, on that particular use, and they were generating on average 11 and a half. We're generating 4.5. Because you understand that this property is only going to be used 2 times a week, and within a certain limited time span. And so they have a threshold, and it's if you generate more than, if I'm not mistaken, 40 trips.
Warren, you have to speak louder.
I apologize.
I have a question. You're spending $2 million to use this twice a week?
Right.
You should have 100 parking spaces on your initial
That doesn't make sense.
design.
The plan that was submitted previously had 97. What we have now on ours is like 30 or 40.
Can you go to your initial diagram? I counted 100 spaces.
Yeah.
Well, that was the old plan, and it was based on the number of uses.
There was a wedding venue approved for 2013, and it had how many spaces on it?
If I'm not mistaken, it's 97.
And that wedding venue never took off because they couldn't get it up to code, and they didn't want to spend the money to bring it up to code. So it's been sitting empty, the house has since
13
then.
years, I think.
Lots of traffic is.
I'm sorry, you've been standing.
Yeah, I'm your neighbor 2 doors the other, okay?
Okay.
And so the traffic things they talk about are legitimate. We have at least 3 people a month that run off the road.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, it's a terrible design. But I develop a lot of land, so land development, I know a lot about that. Several properties rezoning right now. And you're trying to do the hardest zoning, which is taking residential to commercial, I'm assuming. Or it's not, maybe not commercial, maybe it's
It's just a
So
church.
religious is a Lord degree.
Religious is a loophole, there's a little, but it creates the same traffic of commercial. And so
It's not.
I'm helping a church right
It's
now.
not,
It's not the same traffic.
it's not the same.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It could be even more.
At certain times of the day, it is, but it would be.
We're gonna let this traffic thing
Okay.
to deal with
It's
the
okay.
professionals
I'm
to
just
handle
saying,
it. We
I'm
are hiring
helping
professionals to do
The
this.
church right now
Mhm.
with the same issue less than 2 miles from here. And they wanna take this property that they are approved to use up to 200 max, and they wanna turn it into a full-blown worship center. And I keep telling them, cause I sit on the board that's helping them do this, why are we not looking in the commercial zones that the city's already set aside and buy it? And you know what it comes down to? It comes down to money. It's always money. I can save money right here versus buy the property over there that the city has already set aside. And so you're talking about raising all this money. Why are you not looking at the places the city has said, build here, bring your activity here? It is so easy to take a property from commercial to religious. That is so easy, and you're in the business, you know this. Why are you not looking there? It's to save some dollars. So yes, there's neighbors upset because you're taking residential property and you're trying to bring traffic, noise, all these things into that area to save some money. And we're saying, just move over, spend a few dollars, raise some money, and get into the areas that are designed for this. And stop trying to change a community. You're welcome to come to the city. You're welcome. Just go to the places that are designed for it. Just like I tell my own church, stop trying to save a buck. Go down the road and do what's designed. Okay, that's my comment.
Well, aren't your churches inside the community, so it's easier for your petitioners to get the
What's a
church?
mile this way, a mile that way?
Well,
That doesn't really.
You
prove
missed the
it.
whole thing on traffic one.
People drive a mile
Well,
further.
These guys have looked at multiple pieces of property, and this is the most affordable one they've been able to find.
Exactly.
Now, within a few miles, 2 acres, $1.2 million. This property is 1.5, it already has facilities that they can utilize.
I know. I'm in the same situation. I know what you're saying,
But-
and I'm advising my own group,
Are you gonna say
move
something?
into the area. Because I sat in city councils over at Wesley Chapel and I've listened to the neighbors' outrage over Christian churches of which they would go to, angry at the noise and the traffic, and I've listened to them and I'm like, just get to an area that makes sense. And everybody will get out your way. But don't dump it right in the middle of a residential community. Please.
Well,
That's my advice.
it is the zoning ordinance that dictates to us where we can put these type of facilities. So even if this was in the city limits and it was a commercial, we would still have to go to rezone it and change it.
I know, but that's an easy, that's so easy. You're not gonna get it, nobody's gonna stand and
There's a
see
commercial area that's wide open, it's been there for years.
And so this property was already zoned as a type of commercial, but that type of commercial is allowed within a conditional residential. And so that's what it's currently zoned and why they're.
What is the zoning?
It's a conditional,
It's residential with a condition
Yeah.
for a wedding.
But
right.
it didn't work, and there's a reason why it didn't.
Well, $700,000 worth of improvements, is what I hear that the gentleman found out it was gonna cost, and that's why he did.
Yes, there's a question in the back.
Mike, is there someone here that represents who decides the zoning for this property? And how involved are they right now in what's going on?
Right. Well, typically, your community meetings is with your community and not the officials. The applications and everything will go to them, they will review it. There's an opportunity. I
Yeah,
think
but
I
they're
seen
not
you on-
hearing our concerns.
Right, where are they?
I mean,
Well,
I would expect that if we're here talking about it, that someone
You
who
can
makes
go-
that decision.
You can come to the, planning board meetings, and we have an opportunity for public comment.
Yeah.
And also, there's, an opportunity now that's new, that you can comment in front of, the town council. So there is a lot of opportunity for our residents to be involved.
And part of the requirement of our application is for us to document all your questions, your concerns, and then give that to them in a report. So that is part of our application, and our application isn't considered complete until we submit that.
I can't see your hand.
Yes, sir.
So just two things as far as when you're talking about the TIA, I think that's based off of the capacity of the building and the number of parking spots you're at. So it's not your current enrollment of how many would be attending. It would be 50 peak hour trips, which it sounds like at times you could easily hit that if you have one of the bigger events, that you would have 50 cars leaving that, so that would require the traffic impact analysis.
And the DOT would make that
Well, the town,
recommendation.
yeah, but the town has ordinances that if you
Right.
hit that 50 trips, you have to do
And
it.
actually, the town's is more stringent than. the
Yes,
DOT,
it's
so
way
we
more
have to
stringent.
comply with both of them.
Yeah, and then,
when we submit, they'll review it, and if it's required, then we have to do it.
right, and then the other thing is, from going back to when this was approved and couldn't get executed as a wedding venue, there were all kinds of restrictions on that condition for that wedding venue, including decibel levels. Like there was 65 decibels. So when you're talking about a playground and a soccer field and stuff like that, I would bear in mind of what even your current plans are and what you're thinking for the future, because that was very controversial to get that approved then. And now if your long-term goals are going to be things that would be higher decibel counts and all these other things that wouldn't have gotten passed in 2013, I would factor that into when you're trying to make the assessment
Well,
on this property.
I assure you that, of the 22 years that I have been doing this, I've never seen this many people show up for a community meeting. So there's it's not easier now than it was then. It was easier then than it is now.
I have one more thing to say.
So one question about the decibels.
Okay.
So the answer to that is that we don't do any sound systems outside. There's no bell that's ringing or anything like that. There's no call to the prayer. Everything is going to be inside the building. So when it comes to the event that you talked about and like, you know, the voice concerns, we don't have music in our premises. We don't have instruments in our events, and there's no drinking. So there's no like rowdiness, or there's not going to be something that's going to create a inconvenience for the neighbors at odd hours or anything like that. So, you know, maybe in the afternoon, if you have a team of 8 and a team of 8 playing with each other, that won't reach that level of noise in a space that's that big. So if we're in the middle or in any of the corners of that property, you're not going to be able to hear us whatsoever based off of what we see right now. So in the future, if there is an increase, a lot of that conversation, a lot of the enjoyment, a lot of the stuff that happens, the worship, is inside the building. Outside, we're not too concerned about noise being a factor. Yes?
So my property butts the very back, all the way along that line. So how much of a buffer is required around the entire property? Because every neighbor you have is a residential home,
Sure.
right? So how
42
much of a
feet.
buffer?
42 feet.
42 feet
And
is.
clear, or the woods that are existing there
It's
right now?
42 feet undisturbed, so we can't do anything inside of it. So the existing trees within that 40-foot swath on 3 sides of the property will remain. They won't be removed. We can't remove them.
And for security reasons, we would want to add a fence or something. So that would also minimize the noise. So the trees or a fence or something that will facilitate.
Well, we have a fence, and Darlene has a fence, so two.
So 2 fences will make it better, right?
Fenced.
Yeah, and then the mayor with our conversation said that we would need to comply with the previous rezoning's agreement to replace the fence that was on this property.
So
that
there-
butts
On the front or in the back?
on the back.
Look, whatever we need to do, that's something we will do. And there was a gentleman in the back that said, you know, if you're only meeting twice, like, no, we're meeting more than twice a month. There's multiple opportunities for people to come to the church, right? Like I said, this is not something we're gonna live in for 10 years and then sell. So if we're buying something long-term, it's an investment. This is something that we are investing in our future generations. So yes, that is a factor, but we also have to see how much we can spread. We have to be responsible to our donors and not be able, to kind of bite more than we can chew.
So I was looking at your website and your events that you hold monthly at Marvin Park. You have them, maybe some meetings here, like.
The Marvin Park is weekly.
Okay, so what I'm trying to get to is, I feel like from what I'm seeing on your events online, that you're gonna have more people coming and going than what you're sharing right now. It sounds more than a couple times a week, and it sounds like it could be consistent in and out, enjoying the property. It's your property at that point.
Yeah.
So what
there's-
does that look like?
So there's daily prayers, but most people are not praying in the mosque because they're at work or they have other responsibilities during the day. So you have people that will come in the evening. You'll have people that will congregate for the Friday sermon. You'll have people that will come for classes on the weekend, mostly children. So you do have activities throughout the week, but those are not major activities. Like I said, right now we have maybe 10, 20, at most 20 students in each of our classes. So that, even with that addition, it's not going to be one of the major events throughout the month. The major event is the family night, which is the most number of people we'll have, which is around 100 people.
That you're,
Point, I mean, to maximize the utility of the property, I mean, for your own benefit, to get the most return, you've got to have money out there. $1.5 million plus the improvements, $2 million for the number of people you're talking about. I mean, the math just, it begs a lot of questions.
We don't expect the improvements to be $500,000, right?
Well, but, for.
Yeah, but
Well,
again,
it's 300,000,
but
because that was the number that was thrown out.
if you're looking at the properties in the area, if you're looking at, the per acre prices, this is pretty normal, right? This is not something that's obnoxiously expensive, and it's not, on the cheap side either. So wherever we go, this is gonna be pretty much, the game. Yes?
Atif, I'm sorry.
I'm so
This
sorry.
lady was next.
Mr. Blue, I want to ask, so I live pretty much across the street in a neighborhood, and this is now the third meeting that's been held. I have not received, not once, any communication about this. The first go around, a neighbor asked me if I know what this is about, and out of 40 homes, only 5 people received a mailer in their mailbox. This time around, there were a handful more. However, the neighbors received it today in their mailbox. I still am not on the list. I still have not received it. My across the street next to me neighbor received it in their mailbox today, which is concerning in the sense that there's still community members that don't know that this is taking place and are taken by it in the sense like what's going on, why we're not informed. That's one thing. Then the property is not maintained, so you can barely see the rezoning sign. The town of Weddington, at 4 o'clock, there was finally a pink sign that there is a community meeting. So there's just a lot of people have the sense of this is not a public knowledge in a sense, and it's because it's not only Weddington, but there's a little bit, the properties are spread because some have multiple acres, and some are just little hub properties in some little neighborhoods. But, some are Weddington, so some are unincorporated Union County. So I'm not sure who's in charge of that. But, you have big Weddington Chase, Weddington Trace neighborhoods, and even down 12 Mile Creek. Everybody should have been informed about this, and I guess people are not. So that's a concern to me. I am here today just because I was informed about this 2 days ago. And I said, okay, send me this information and I'll be here. I'll have my kids carpool to their events because I feel like somebody needs to be here. And as far as for Imam, I understand that you say this is forever home, which is awesome, it's wonderful. But with that, and you say you want to leave it to your children. So in my understanding, it is that as any church, Christian, Catholic, whatever, it will grow. So it's only small now, but in 5, 10, 50 years from now, how is that gonna impact the traffic in that area? That is my personal concern, because I'm planning on living my old days in the area and have my kids and grandkids. So I love the idea. I love having you guys, you know, in the community, and do worship and do all that, but how is that particular space and that road, is that also a possibility? Can that road be expanded? My understanding is that throughout the years, Union County was asked, hey, can you put a light? Can this be safer for kids to turn left and right and go to Weddington or Cuthbert's and, you know, do a turn lane? And they were told it's not feasible, or there's not enough space, there's not enough easement. Taking all that into consideration, how are we
So
planning
just
on
two
managing
things.
that?
Yeah, absolutely, great question. One is, again, it's a relationship with the community, right? So whatever is a safety concern, we want to be with you. So if we can help and we can also push to make that a safer location, a safer, you know, whether it requires a traffic light or whatever, we wouldn't be against that. And two, whenever the community grows with the relationship that we have with the community, I think there'll be signs, and then we'll know, okay, we need to move. We need to find another location. That location will remain for the people in the community, but wherever the community grows, chances are there's going to be other mosques that pop up. So it's not that we're the only, you know, mosque in town. There's other places that will have opportunities for people that are closer to them. We're only looking to serve the people in that area. We're not looking to serve every Muslim in Charlotte. So yes, it will grow, but not exactly the way I think everyone is thinking. So right now, if there's problems, if we feel like we've outgrown, chances are you're going to see a lot of people just moving to another location. So the mosque will remain there, but the community will find another place.
To answer the question, the notification is done by the entire town, and this property is unusual because we're on the edge of the city limits. So the city limits stops on our side of the road, and everything on the opposite side is in the county. So they are only notifying people who are within city limits. Originally,
None of my neighbors are yet. My next door neighbor got it, and I never didn't.
Are you in Waxhaw or Weddington?
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And out of 40 houses, how come only 5 get it, and it's just a random pick that makes no sense?
and
You know, we don't
different
have-
different municipalities handle it different. Mint Hill, we have to come up with a list, provide it to the town, give them the money for the postage and everything. They review it and make sure, that way they can ensure that people are being notified. But the way Weddington handles it is that they determine what addresses, they send it out, and then they send us an invoice for the
We don't have control over that.
We don't.
It also doesn't make sense to receive it in the mail at 1:30 from the post office. You don't see it till 4 o'clock, and the meeting is at 5.
And
You know what I'm saying? When it's really impacting the neighborhood that's right next door
Right.
across the street.
And so, right, so if that's maybe some concern you want to bring up in the town, because you're on the edge, and maybe they can start including people, all they have to do is just change their ordinance.
Yes, sir?
You mentioned the traffic light. Are you guys willing to pay for that and pay for the widening of the roads and the berms? I don't know if you can see the berms, they're 2 feet deep.
It depends on the study and what happens based off of the report from the Department of Transportation. So if there is a need and they require us to do that, then there's a possibility that, you know, we'll see. If it's still feasible for us, then that's something that we're gonna have to take on.
So it'd be
But
kind of nice for you to commit to that, because it might be us taxpayers footing the bill for that, for something you're trying to save money on.
for something everyone is going to benefit from, right? So this is how.
No, mostly if the state or the DXCDUD determines we need a lane to, you know, to get into the property, they will make us do it.
So that's not the problem. I don't know if you've driven that. I drive it a couple times a day,
Yeah,
every day.
yeah.
The
Mine
wide
is
road
the-
is not what it needs only. It needs the berms maintained, it needs a light, it needs a roundabout, whatever it is. I don't feel like we should have to pay for that because you guys can have other places that are zoned in a commercial area that would be much suited for that. So if you're truly concerned, and you said to make it safe as possible, how many fatalities is safe as possible to you guys? If you're truly a religious
Zero.
organization, which I really think you have great intentions,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that anything other than that, I think you would see that this isn't quite a good fit. This is a kind of dangerous scenario that could kill somebody's son or daughter. We've got so many high school students going back and forth. They just leave Jefferson and Weddington.
And that's something that we're gonna leave to the North Carolina Department of Transportation, because they're the ones who are going to decide how safe that is, right? So that's something that we're gonna let them, because that's their jurisdiction. So of course, I would never want anyone to die in a traffic accident, but a lot of the roads in Weddington, in Charlotte, in North Carolina, we can definitely do better. So that's something that I think we're all responsible for, to make sure that our roads are safe. But it's not something that, in this area, if it's required and they tell us that this is what we have to do, then we're gonna do everything we're required to do. So we're not gonna shy away.
Just to go to an area that's zoned and established for that instead of, there's risks here. It's just a trust factor.
No, of course.
First you have 18 members, now it's 50, you have 100 parking spaces, now it's 50.
Nope.
There's just it just seems a little.
I apologize for that. Look, we had someone representing us. There was a miscommunication. It was 18 board and executive committee members.
Right.
It was never the congregation.
Well, your parking is 100 spaces. That diagram is on your website. That's as of 2 days ago.
This is a diagram that comes from
It's
the event use.
the old plan,
It's not
but
our
essentially
diagram.
what will happen is the architect will determine what the maximum capacity is for the building.
And you guys can't.
So how are we gonna make these determinations if?
It's like, the key word is for now.
Right.
No, for
You
the,
don't say
Right.
for
No,
now, we're only
when-
gonna be 50
when-
spots for 20.
When a capacity is set, it's set, and you can't change it unless you add it to the building.
so we would have to come back to you to change any capacity. So the city has to determine that.
That's not true.
That's-
City council, you wouldn't come to the public hearings. And so, would you commit to a site of less than 100 or less than 200, like some people, zone for maximum deeded on the property, or is your intention really to grow the property?
So based off the size of the barn, whatever is the ratio for that.
Deeded on the property, would you commit to a 200 or less max capacity on site, like some?
200 what, parking spots?
No, 200 people on property, on site.
That kind of stuff is built into the zone, so there's a maximum.
You can do that.
Give me an
I don't
opportunity.
think the barn is, you can't have more than 200 people in that anyway.
In the barn, I'm talking about on the property for future growth and later on when you wanna build your mosque, keeping it under 200 people.
So there is a maximum impervious area that's allowed. There's there's common open space that we have to require. So if I'm doing it, if somebody comes to me with a piece of property and they say, I've got these 20 acres and I wanna build, they're like, how many houses can I put on it? Well, the ordinance will tell us that, okay, you can only build on 50%. 50% of it can be impervious, otherwise, you can't build on it. There's a certain amount of open space that's required to be, and that takes away from the maximum, or doing as much as you want. So it's kind of built into the ordinance.
I know,
You're not hearing what this gentleman's saying.
Yeah.
One more time.
I'm saying, would you commit to a deeded, something on the deed, on the property, keeping max capacity under 200 people at all times?
This is a question for you gentlemen, not for him,
Yes.
right? Yeah, it's for
Because
you
that
gentlemen,
is
as your
doable.
business is, your
I have
function.
properties
Yes.
that have that, that's doable, and it tells the residents, yes, we want religious function here, but no, do not intend on growing this beyond this capacity. Would you commit to that?
I don't know what the growth size is, right? Even if
Hey, guys,
in the future,
that's
if we
enough.
put, even if you put a building, there's always capacity.
I know the building, I'm talking about the
Right.
site,
Yeah.
future buildings that you wanna build. I know you have to come and get approval.
Sure.
But that's not the same. Once you get your zoning, this thing's downhill for all of us. We get to say nothing else about it, because it all goes before, county and city council for approval, but your hands are tied, because the property was already zoned for this. Now you can run at whatever degree you want, but a deeded 200 or less on the property would protect these citizens from going, okay, we understand your intent is to serve the local community as it is now, and we have no plans of taking it beyond.
That's something that we may have to discuss.
We can consider something, but 200 might not be enough.
We can get a happy medium number.
Yeah, look, we want to work with the community, and you're talking about trust, so we want it to go both ways. So if we're going to be here long term, I don't mind having a conversation and seeing what's reasonable. Yes?
Yes, may I ask who the gentleman is who's sitting to your right?
He's a community member. He came to the first meeting, but he was on behalf of the seller, because he's the person who was representing the seller. So we want him to come to join us today as well, because he's been with us since day one.
The reason I ask that, because at the second meeting, there were two people there who were not on the board.
No.
They were members of your
Yes, they were members of the community.
And there were gentlemen from the town of Weddington, on the planning committee, and there were people from Weddington who have experience in some of the things as far as the expenses you may occur. And the number of another additional $1 million came up, okay? For all and you just said $300,000. Well, both of the people that were there representing your organization, they were so dismayed. They said, and I'm not doubting what you said as far as your finances are. I'm just telling you what they said. Oh my gosh, we don't have that kind of money. We don't have $1 million to do all the things that people are telling us we have to do. So once again, we're getting all these mixed signals. You're telling us that you have all this money, and God bless you, thank you, I'm happy for you.
I didn't say we had all the money. I wish.
You said you had $500,000 already.
Yes.
You're already gonna spend another $300,000. We're now talking about $2 million. And these two poor members of your community said, we're just a small group of families that wanna, we don't have all this money that you're suggesting that it's gonna take for us to purchase the property and get it so we can come and meet and pray. So, once again, third meeting, there's still so much contradictions.
So as most organizations, a lot of the members in the community are not privy to the financial health of the organization, right? So in most of these neighbor meetings, you're not discussing finances with the people that are there to answer questions. So the people that were representing the organization, they were there to talk about our community, and they did so honestly, but they didn't have the information that we have. So for us, we don't want to spend $300,000. I want to be clear. I'm saying is whatever we're required to, we will do. But our goal is not to spend what isn't reasonable for us to spend. Traffic impact, of course. If there's any upgrades that are needed to the property, to the entrance, if we need to add another exit to the property, that's going to be a required expense. We would do that as well. So whatever is necessary, we're not saying we will spend $300,000. We're going to look at what the professionals, what the experts, all the people that were paying for us, we will have that information in the next meeting. All the people that tell us that this is what you're going to be responsible for, then we will be more informed to be able to say, yes, this is something we can cover.
I understand.
And if it's not, let's say it's $1 million, we will be the first ones to say, look, this is outside of our budget, this is not feasible for us.
Yeah, no, I'm just, I respect you all.
No, thank you so much. No, look, we want to take away a lot of the misunderstandings and clarify to the best of our abilities. Again, this is about building a relationship with the community. I don't expect to not see you guys in the future. I want to talk to you. I want you to be comfortable enough with us. This is not going to work without you, and we understand that. In the beginning, like I said, Normally, from what we were advised, this is not how things happen in the neighbor meetings, but this is a new experience for us. You know, some guy said, you're a developer, you're gonna sell this. Like, if we were developers, we would do a lot better job. We're just, you know, a people that have a congregation that's trying to build something for our future, and we're gonna do whatever we can to make this happen. And if that means building that trust and getting you to believe us, we're gonna do everything we can.
She has a question over here.
Yes, her or?
No, right back here.
Yes.
So I found what you said about like, once it's a mosque, it's always a mosque, really interesting. So I Googled that while I was sitting back here. And like, you believe the property belongs to God, is my understanding. But the thing I Googled, now it wasn't local here, but it was talking about one of the problems with that is then if the congregation moves away or dies down, then the property is abandoned. Does that happen in the US? Like, are there places like where it's just overrun, or they said here there's like homeless people and it's, well, this article I was reading, and they were mosques in Pakistan, so.
Look, there's two things that can happen, okay?
Yeah.
So when a person, or when a community builds a mosque, there's a designated mosque that's forever, right? Then the whole world is made a place of worship. So if I were to pray right now, here, God would accept it, right? Our places of worship are not limited just to a mosque. A mosque is permanent, but if a person were to pray somewhere and then that location, something were to happen to it or something, like if it's someone's house, you can sell a house, that's fine. So the locations that, I'm not sure what article that you read, but when it comes to the law, no, you cannot sell a mosque. That's not commonplace. There are exceptions to the rule. You have other things that can happen. For instance, if it's a natural disaster, a place is destroyed, or if you have a river that changed directions and is closer to the mosque and is destroying the property and the mosque has to move over. So there are exceptions, but generally, no. The commonplace is that if you have a mosque, that mosque will remain a mosque forever and the community is required to maintain it. So this is why you have 1,000-year-old mosques in many Muslim countries. Having a mosque that's 1,000 years old is very common. In America, it's hard to say. A lot of the mosques have popped up only in the last 20, 30, 40 years, right? So we don't have that the data to tell you like what our actual longevity is. Yes. Yes, the sister in the back.
So, you said that there's certain functions where lots of people will be at, but you said it's open for people to sort of come and go if they want to come anytime. So I guess I'm just asking, so in our mandirs, in the Hindu tradition, we have a Maharaj who lives on the property.
Yeah.
Will you have someone living on the property, or will it be open? I guess I'm just concerned from a safety perspective again, right? Because I'm directly behind it.
I understand what you're saying. No, we in some mosques you do have I think it's called a parsonage, where a church will have a house for the priest. Some mosques do have that. Over here, we don't plan on doing that because I have my own place. So I'll stay home with my family. I don't plan on living on the property. But we do want to have a security system in place. In Charlotte, what I've noticed is that now you have a code at the door. So you'll have a gate that closes at a certain time and opens at a certain time automatically. And you'll have people who have a passcode for that, as well as the fire department or anyone else that would need access to the property, even if we're not there. So there'll be something in place to make sure that if someone needs access, they'll have access.
So you will gate sort of the entire.
No, just the driveway.
That's gonna be even more dangerous, just,
The driveway.
I feel like it will be.
From a setback, you're
Yeah.
saying, yeah.
No. It's not going to be on the road. It's going to be much further back. Again, whatever is in the ordinance. Obviously, we can't build something that would be unsafe. So whatever the town, the city tells us that this is doable, that's what we're going to do.
Well, I guess I would just suggest thinking about gating the entire property, because we fenced because there were kids in the backwoods drinking and doing all kinds of nonsense.
So alcohol is prohibited in our religion.
No, I know.
I'm not saying Muslims don't drink. We have a spectrum.
No,
Not your kids, we're talking about.
other people, right? It's a wooded area.
There are kids too.
They're gonna come, right?
Yeah.
So, again, it's a safety thing, right?
Yeah.
And that's fine, because we do intend on having a fence. I believe we are required to fix the fence that's already there as part of the what's in the ordinance or, the
Well, we
condition.
just fenced our side.
Yeah, we
Yours
fenced ours,
has
right,
been-
so
whatever
ours,
the other side looks
yeah,
like.
so it's just.
By the way, the trees have been falling on our fence, and when we contacted the owner, he told us to F ourselves.
Oh.
And that you'll take care of
I
it.
promise
So
you, we're
just
gonna be
wanna
better
let you know
owners.
that you didn't even buy the property, we fixed it, we fixed
Okay.
it. We're not gonna, but we have this, in writing, that he said this, and that you all fix it. You haven't even bought it yet, so I just figured out what.
Oh, trust me, he's throwing so much on us and
Yeah,
we get it.
he's.
So he's taking advantage of the situation, and we're kind of in between a hard place. But look, you know, if we need to fix a fence, if we need to take care of our neighbors, we're gonna do that.
We will fix our own fence. I do have a question though. The woman that was here, I don't remember what her name was, she was lovely.
Romana,
She said that, I believe, and I'm gonna paraphrase her, but, that you all wanted to have like a Sunday school type thing closer to home because everyone was tired of driving far to bring their kids places. After they had already said they weren't gonna have any children like Sunday school type activities, right?
No, we have classes.
And my question is, because I didn't wait 26 years to be able to buy the property of my dreams and have a preschool next to me, and I love kids, I would love all the kids all around, I'm heavily involved in the community, but I love how you said before you weren't concerned about the noise activity outside, and there was what, a 42 foot or a 45 foot
42.
between basically the property line and the trees and whatever, which is super close if you're in our backyards, and where my dogs are and the neighbors, but 16 kids having a game of soccer isn't exactly quiet for me. And it's quiet for my dogs or our neighbors, and I'm not a child hater, I'm really not, but I just wanna know what, like, it went from not having anything like that on a daily basis.
Well, I will say, let me provide this information, that it was 42-foot buffer, but the house itself sits 136 feet away from the property.
Yeah, but I'm talking about where your soccer field will be. There's a basketball court there now, there's a volleyball court there now. So these are like not little things. You wanna add a soccer field,
So,
you wanna move the.
I just want to clarify two things. This center is gonna be for families. We can't ban children, right? We're not gonna ban
I don't want you to ban children,
We're-
but you're saying
we're
you're
gonna have
worried
kids on the
about
property.
noise activity outside, you think that we're gonna be upset about people praying, that's usually quite
And
quiet
for
inside.
Ramona,
But I don't wanna be-
there's no school. We're not establishing a school here. There's not gonna be children here 5 times a week. That's not happening. So once a week, we have different groups of children that do come. So we have groups. So you have teenagers, you have, elementary, but they come at different times. So they're not coming at the same time. So those of you that check our website, we have classes on Wednesday evenings, then we have it on Sunday. We split it up so that there's fewer people at the same time. So there will be classes for children. I mean, any church is gonna have classes for children. So we will have that. They will play on the property, but it's not gonna happen at odd hours. It's not gonna happen 5 times a week. It's not gonna
I
happen
kind of feel
close
like-
to your property.
I kind of feel like if I wanted to move next to a park, I could have. I didn't. I mean, I literally waited forever. I lived in Weddington, I lived here for 26 years, and I've seen it grow, I love it, it's great. I want everybody to have that experience, I'm not trying to take that
No,
away
of
from
course. And
anybody.
even if your neighbors have kids, right?
But I
you're
also
gonna-
wanna be, like, I don't want my dog sitting barking at the fence and having kids, like, I'm a little concerned. I have really big dogs, and they're sweet, but they're not sweet if somebody
But you
decides
said
to
you have a
set
fence
the
too,
ball
right?
over my
You
fence.
built the fence, so
I have a fence up on my
okay, so
property.
the dogs will be safe, the kids will be safe. We
I'm not
won't.
worried about my dogs, I'm worried about the kids.
We're worried
Because
about
kids are
dogs.
stupid, and they wanna climb the fence, and they wanna
Yeah.
see the dogs. My dogs are sweet, but they are big dogs. And I can't guarantee that they're not gonna bite somebody. I have a fence around my entire property so that they don't do that. I just worry the more I hear like, I am worried about the traffic because I do know kids who are driving in that and families, and that terrifies me. And I'm closing my property up because of that. I have 2 legal entrances on Gen Road. They will be closed. That's it. They're gonna be done. Because I can go through Air Plantation. And I just can't do it now with all the trucks. But it will be closed because I don't want my family driving through there. I'm terrified when I have to drive out there. and I wait in the road. I stop traffic so that the trucks can get in, because I'm terrified for my truck drivers, you know, who are bringing stuff in. Not just, I don't know them, they're an 18-wheeler, I mean,
No, we
they're
want to
fine.
make sure that the roads are safe. The Department of Transportation is gonna let us know. The concern around Newtown Road, I think is valid. But once we have more information, then, you know, we can answer these questions. But, you know, is Newtown Road, 12 Mile Creek Road on the side, the road behind, which is Weddington Road? Is that, two lane?
It's, so right where the bend is, where that property is, I don't know what happens, but I swear to you that people almost see this really sharp turn right in front of the house, and they say, I'm gonna go faster. And I'm not gonna lie, my son, we have a camera on our house, we could probably gather footage, because it goes to one of the cameras go to the street, and kids are, I'm not gonna say it's kids, because I can drive fast, so they're drag racing up and down that road.
They do drag race.
So they had to pull a car out of the creek.
I'm sorry,
Turn
sir.
around.
Let me just ask him. Okay, I apologize. Yes?
Gentlemen, I just want to say, with all due respect, I don't know of many entities that have a $2 million plus budget, but not a plan, initial plan, it sounds like, or forecast. And yet you have donors and you have people that are going to contribute to this development, and how would they contribute when, in a simple form, we're not able to even ascertain questions, understand questions that are ambiguous? Your answers are ambiguous, I'm sorry, they're vague.
So ascertain answers about what specifically?
About the amount of forecast of the people, and this gets back to this journal. You say it doesn't have an impact it may not have an impact from your DOT studies. But I will tell you, man, go stand on North 12 Mile Creek at 2:15. Go stand on Deal Road at 4 o'clock. Go stand on Weddington Road, 84, at 8 o'clock. Go stand on Cuthbertson Road at 2 o'clock. There isn't mobility for the people who live here at this current time. The current citizens don't have the availability to move. And we don't have the availability to accommodate, in my opinion, any facility that cannot demonstrate a number or at least give us, if you don't have a DOT, they say we don't have a DOT study, but to say, well, we'll see what they say. You see how that kind of sounds to me if I would say, oh, well, we'll have to see what they say. We'll see what happens.
It's not that.
Look, I've been in land development, I know a lot about it, sir, so just please be straight facts. Or if you don't have the answer, I don't have the answer, but I will look at it. And that's my position. Thank you.
As a developer, you might know, anything you build have to have permits, right?
Okay.
And based on what the NCDOT says, what we need to do, and that's what we need to do, right? If the NCDOT come back and say, look, you gotta spend $2 million to put this entrance and put whatever we had to do, it's not in our budget. We can't do it, right? This, like I said, this is one of the many meetings that's gonna happen.
And to that point, I saw some numbers on due diligence. That's really a very small budget.
That just for the.
For what I recall doing myself.
Yeah, that is for the architect and to come back and look at it and tell us what to do. This is not the budget for the
No, I know it's not.
This is somebody to come and tell us, hey, architects, that's the budget they gave us, right? Based on people we contacted, that's what the budget they gave us.
But you can appreciate my opinion.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely,
Yeah.
So,
As I appreciate your opinion, you can appreciate my opinion when answers are vague and I don't know, and maybe we'll have to see, well, we've redone it. You can see how the community cannot get a footing on actually what is the process and what is the amount of impact on our community. And I think those questions never I shouldn't say no, that's not a fair word, have not been addressed in the 3 meetings.
So there has been an application to the Department of Transportation, so they will get back to us. Like I said, there is a backlog. We have already put in the application. If it was ready today, we would have told you. But the reason we showed you the due diligence is a lot of this stuff is already happening. So the more information we have, the more information we will give you. We're not trying to be vague or not answer your questions. Whatever the data, the facts, what we know right now, we're telling you. But when it comes to our community, I can tell you what my community is. When it comes to, you know, the information that we're paying professionals to give us, once we have it, we can pass that over to you.
But I would have to ascertain a lot of this information before I even met with local communities. It's just, I'm just telling you, gentlemen, I feel like I'm not getting all the information. That's what I.
And we promise you will.
Well, I can tell you at least where we're at right now. So they have a contract signed with the architect, have paid him a retainer, and he's working on calculating what the maximum capacity, how many people it will have, can have in it, if we need to do, bathroom upgrades, and what of the building is not in compliance with, the current building code. Once he makes that determination, then he'll generate a set of plans that we will submit to the town as well as to the county, because the county will have to review it, and fire marshal will come out, and fire marshal, if I'm not mistaken, some of that the architect deals with and I don't deal with, but the fire marshal will give us a number, and that number is the maximum number of people that can be inside of that building at any single time.
Yes, sir, I understand what that statement, but I think that there's a general concern is how many people at one given time will be on a property that impacts our daily lives. And I don't think that's been addressed, and I think that would have been a forecast, I would have had to have it. But I think that, I don't know, man,
We have some specific questions over here, he does.
The thing is that once the architect determines and does all that stuff, once the DOT gives us comments back from their review, we will provide that information.
To the community?
I'm sorry, just to answer his question, just based off of the forecast, based off of what we have right now, there's 100 people that will be on the premises at once a month. Besides that, the congregation, the weekly congregation is a lot smaller. We're telling you based off of what we have right now. The forecast is that it will grow, but not to a degree where we're going to have to talk to the Department of, to increase our numbers or things like that. That's what we're waiting on the architect, what is our maximum. So if it makes sense that this is where we are, this is where our maximum is, we have the margin of growth, then this makes sense for us. So we're still waiting on that as well. Once we have that information, we'll let you know. But we can tell you based off of what we see right now. Right now, our congregation, and everyone is welcome to join us any Friday of the week. Come visit our congregation. Come see how many people we have in the barn. We don't know when you're coming, so this is not like a scheme or anything like that. No. We want you to come visit us, right? And this is the offer we gave the mayor, this is the offer we gave others, that come see what we're doing. We have 50 people. Today, like I said, I counted. We had 56 people in the congregation in the barn. We had more space than we needed in the barn currently. And the barn here is a lot smaller than the barn on the property that we're trying to occupy.
Is this, one more question, is this gonna be developed in phases? Is there gonna be a phase one?
No, the only priority right now, phase one, is to purchase the property, to pay it off, and to deal with our congregation as it grows. There's no plan for a phase two or a future building right now. We don't know, we have no idea what the future looks like. But if there is a limit to the capacity that we're allowed to have, that's something that we have to deal with. That's not something that we're going to. Yeah, for us, like I said, it's more
important information over here.
I'm sorry.
Two things. One is on your due diligence list, you didn't have anything for mold remediation, and
That's from asbestos. There's something.
Asbestos is not mold. So you have significant mold spores, which is very dangerous to your health, and many of us had to wear masks when we were in the barn the last time, but that is something,
as a courtesy until
No, of course.
need mold remediation in that building.
So we're
That
hoping
should
the
be
person that tests
under
for
due
asbestos will catch the mold as well, so.
So we have.
They are, we have a quote for building inspection, so they're testing for termites, they're testing for, lead. They're doing mold testing in all the buildings that would potentially be used.
We do air testing, do account, the mold score account for you.
Yeah.
But it's dangerously high, I'm just letting you know. Second thing is there a timeline for having a lot of this information before it goes to planning board and gets any kind of recommendation?
Yeah, what we're trying to do is have the architect's information and information from the DOT, because those are the big ticket items, by the time we go to the planning board. Because, like I said, we have to provide these comments, concerns that you guys have. And, the planning department will give that report to the planning board, and that's part of the planning board's evaluation, is to look at the comments that were posed. And, so that's the plan. I know we'll have the inspection. They've already done, one of the buildings for the mold because the guy was available. And, from what I understand from the gentleman who worked on getting the property rezoned before, that he had more or less determined that the portion of the building that was added on to the older part of the house was essentially, he deemed it a tear down because of the mold. There's a well inside of the house, so you've got all that moisture content.
And you've got, it's been sitting there for 13 years
Right.
now, so the mold count's even bigger.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I'm just letting you know, but for the record and for your knowledge, asbestos is not mold at all. Asbestos is not.
Oh, of course, no, I'm just saying we're testing for different things.
Okay.
So part of
But thank you so much, absolutely, that would be concerning.
So, and as far as some of the history and the expenses of where it was thrown out, like potentially $1 million, like the previous owner who was trying to do it as the wedding venue, when you mentioned septic in your budget, there's a severe limitation as far as septic on that property.
Tell them
So,
what you know because you talked that.
yeah, because I talked to him of where he was running into complications. Another one of the hurdles of not being able to take off with the wedding venue was there's 3 wells, there's like 3 different septic fields, and it still wasn't enough to meet the capacity of having a wedding venue there. So that's one of the things as far as it was potentially going to look like he was going to have porta potties there, or having to do crudely called a pump and dump of basically a truck coming in every week or every 2 weeks to dump it out, to empty the septic because of the limitations of the property. So in your due diligence, I would make sure not just of what you're saying for 50 people or 100 people, that could be a limitation of you never being able to get beyond a certain number of people from that.
Yes.
And then whether the expense of having to do the sprinkler systems or not, based off of what your utilization of it versus the wedding venue, that was gonna cost a couple $100,000 because he was gonna have to bring in water lines because it's on well, and then run it all the way up and do the sprinkler systems in there. That was over $200,000 a decade ago. And then the other thing was the town, there was a traffic impact and it was gonna require a turn lane that was gonna be $500,000 back then. But the way he was working around it was gonna have 2 entrances, and then the neighbors beside were gonna allow a potential side entrance off of that to alleviate that traffic impact.
But that is not on the table.
Right, right.
So yes, these are the septic permits. The oldest one for the house is in the 40s, and the county said that they don't have any records past the 40s. So we've actually had to get permission signed from the owner to have the county come out and do an inspection. So we're in the process of having the county come out and evaluate and show us where they're located, because these drawings are just unreadable.
I think it's really sad to lose a historical home, and it looks like that's where we're headed in the future, because you guys have really not showed any interest in the home itself. Have you taken a tour of any of the buildings on the property? Have you been in the barn? Have you been in the houses, the other?
We have.
We have to. Based off the inspections, whether it's salvageable or not, it really depends on the reports that we get back.
Are you
So-
aware that's a historic property for Weddington on our land use plan?
Sure.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
just.
The other question I have is,
well?
is for the man on the end. What is your name?
Jeff.
Jeff, you were at the first meeting.
Yeah.
And we asked who you were, you came in with a suit, and we thought you were gonna be speaking to us and give us more information on the church, and you didn't, so at the end, we just kinda asked who you were. And you said that you're with the real estate team or something?
On the seller side.
Are you actually the applicant?
Yes, for the zoning.
So, okay, you're the applicant, why didn't you tell us that in the first meeting? And
Sorry, I did. I said I was there.
at the end, when everybody left, you showed up in a suit, you did not speak. You could have told us a lot more than Juan could in that first meeting about the church. After that first meeting, we still didn't know who, we knew it was a church, we knew 18 members, but I just feel like it's unfortunate that you didn't tell us anything that first meeting and tell us that you were the applicant. You told us you were with the real estate people, so.
No, I apologize, but I did. I think there was a record there, but I was introduced at the beginning as from the seller side. My name was on the application for the zoning.
But I'm just
And
wondering
so I wasn't there to
why you
represent.
didn't get up and speak to us and.
Well,
Because
and
he
again, I think
he doesn't speak on behalf of the organization. He's a congregant, but not necessarily like.
And I did tell them that they didn't need.
So you're not on the board or anything?
No.
No, no, no.
Okay.
No, he's not.
Okay.
Normally.
We asked him to come because of exactly your concern. Like, again, we're not hiding anything. This is a member of our community, and we wanted him to be here. So there's aspects of being a congregant that maybe he can answer, depending on what the questions are. And then there's some questions that we can answer.
But
So-
you're a church member,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And I just feel like we probably could have gotten more information in that first meeting had you
Yeah.
talked to us,
It
so.
wasn't what we were advised, that wasn't expected, and I wasn't there in the capacity to answer those kind of questions. And now that we have the
Because
questions.
it had a really rough start with Juan, he was late, and we were all really struggling during that meeting, but I just wanted to verify who you were.
Yeah.
I
We
appreciate it.
apologize. So there were,
Yeah.
again, there were some missteps. Like I said, we're going through this process. There's a lot of learning that's happening on our end. We're trying to make this happen for our community, and we're trying to grow and experience this in a way where we do the best by our community and also the neighbors. Again, we're not in the business of buying and selling properties and zoning and all this stuff. This is really the first time for our community to do something like this. So we're learning based off of the people that are advising us. So we did have bad information in the beginning, and because of that, I apologize. We screwed up. And this is why we're here today to tell you this is who we are. Yes, sir.
So, on your video on your website, you just talked about building a mosque. And then once the mosque is built, you're gonna build a community. What is that? What do you mean by that?
A community is a congregation. So this is family members. These are children that are growing up in the congregation. This is people. So a church is not just a building, but it's the people. So that's what we mean by community.
But I said building a community?
I'm sorry?
You said build a community. Once the mosque is completed, you're gonna build a community. And then on the drawings that you
People.
had, the original drawings you had outposts, buildings for like homeless shelters.
I'm sorry?
The drawings
Homeless shelters?
Where?
on the site,
On your website.
on your website.
No, I don't know if we can. I'm sorry. Like on this property, there's a home? No.
Yes. There was buildings on, you had soccer field, you had the house, the mosque.
Do you guys work with homeless shelters?
We work with homeless shelter, but the men's shelter is in Uptown. That's
Roof above.
roof above.
I'm just going by what was on your website.
On which website?
On your church website. The church website, we made a video.
I think you made a video in it, you were talking to the congregation, telling what your plans are to, I don't know if you're familiar with Elevation Church, it's
We are.
explosive growth.
Yes.
What I'm hearing from you guys is you can't tell us if it's gonna be 50 people for a year or 500 people in 2 years. So, without the current infrastructure, that's a huge risk for our kids, right? You haven't changed anybody's mind, I don't think, right here. In fact, you made it worse. I just don't hear anything right now that you're not willing to say you're not gonna grow to a certain amount. You're not willing to say you're gonna pay for whatever infrastructure that goes along with that. It sounds like we're gonna be stuck with the bill. I'm trying to be respectful here. But
No,
it's
it's
just,
speaking,
it just
speaking
doesn't
from a,
give us a very good sense of calmness here.
as a community member, I can speak from that behalf. So, and I
Do you
used to
have
live.
kids?
Yes,
Do they drive, are they younger kids?
they're younger, yeah.
Okay.
So, we used to live in Uptown, and so I would drive to a mosque that was on that side, and it was 15 minutes from my house. So as a Muslim, typically you're gonna drive to whatever mosque is closest to you from a convenience standpoint. So, what we're saying, I think what the thought of this community is right now, there isn't one here. The closest one is Rock Hill. So, or Fortville.
So that just means there's even more people that are telling you that's gonna be here. I mean, you're making your case.
No.
You're not making your case.
No, what I'm saying is that there's only so many, the community has a density around it, right? So only so many people can move into this community. And if other people join a neighboring community at some point, they'll probably open up another mosque in that community. It's all about having places to worship.
I don't think anybody's against
You're
the
asking
church
about-
coming in this area. It's just.
So there is organic growth that comes with any building or any church that's established. So if we were to build a church or a synagogue or something else, you do have an influx of people based off of convenience. So right now, we told you in the beginning that we started off in Matthews. When we moved from Matthews to Ballantyne, because we had to go there for the summer because of a summer camp in the recreational center, and when we moved, what did we see? We saw a drop-off because the people in Matthews did not follow us. Very few people did. So when we moved from Ballantyne to where we are right now in Marvin Free Park in Waxhaw, what do we see? We saw the locals come to us, and very few of the people from Matthews or even Ballantyne, do that trek all the way out to where we are. So generally, for the Muslim community, what happens is you go to the closest mosque. So right now, again, we're not expecting people from all over to come. We're only expecting to serve the people that are already here. And it's based off of that feedback that this location is ideal for us because there's already Muslims here that are not being served.
If it's 30 miles away, you guys.
No, 30 miles is
What is your
amazing.
time frame for getting back all your due diligence?
Say it again? The time frame for the due diligence.
So the architect we've got,
Just ballpark, are you thinking a couple of months still? And at that point, are you gonna have another community meeting, or are you going direct to the planning board?
So the community meeting is going to happen at multiple stages in the process. So this is not our last community meeting, no.
Can we ask, because there were a lot of people that wanted to come tonight, Friday night, 5 o'clock is not a good, there are a lot of people that have kids that go to football games that, so I don't know who scheduled it, I'm just asking if you could consider more of a community since you've been.
So Friday is our day of worship, so this is the most inconvenient for us.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know how the scheduling works.
I apologize. It was 10 days, it was a 10-day notice, and so when I submitted the application
I
for
think
it,
there just would've been a lot more people.
What do you recommend?
I've got an email list back here for anybody that wants to be on, just so we know about the next
I
meeting.
think a weeknight,
Get your name
other
on
than
it.
Friday night. is
Yeah.
We'll send it out.
Tuesday, we got one, perfect.
well,
Okay.
we can request that the city accommodates you.
Let me ask.
We wouldn't want you to be included.
So you said that you want to really partner with the community. And
Absolutely.
you want to care about the community. So I'm just curious, what is your read on how the community feels about this being rezoned when we all bought property based on it being residential? Since you care about the community, I'm just curious what your read is about how the community feels.
So from our understanding, when we close on this property, when we, not close, but when we, started entered the contract, was that it is for event use zone. So we approached it with that mindset that it would be easier to take it from event use and bring it down to religious use. We did not look at this as a residential property. We have no intention of hurting the neighbors or anyone that's in that area. So the read of the community is that we have a responsibility to that community, and we're gonna do our utmost to respect our neighbors. So that means honoring our goals, as well as maintaining a balance with what the community needs. If we're not doing anything illegal, if we're not doing anything inconvenient, if we're not doing anything that goes against the ordinance of the town, I feel like there's a relationship that can still be built based off of our location.
Does it matter to you how the community feels?
Absolutely, this is why we're here. Yeah, absolutely. Does it matter for any church what their neighbors think of them? Absolutely. And this is why we have churches and synagogues and mosques that are sprinkled throughout communities.
So what have you heard here in this meeting of how the community feels? I'm just curious if you're.
No, we've heard questions, we've heard feedback that this is better, so we do see ourselves doing, informing and doing a better job of informing you of our intentions and maintaining that transparency that we want ourselves. So I feel like there is progress. Yes, there's still concerns, but I don't think that this meeting has been a letdown. I think we've accomplished a lot.
I just want to say, and I think I can speak for everyone, this is a diverse group of people, in the sense that we have people who are from the Hindu faith, Christian faith, Catholic faith. So I think I can speak for everyone. It has nothing to do with this is a Muslim mosque that you want. It has. I feel very comfortable saying I myself have been to the Dome of the Rock. I have prayed in one of your most holy places. So I have a lot of respect for the Muslim faith. I know quite a bit about the Muslim faith, so I want you to be assured that this has nothing to do. It's about the safety and so forth, and the fact that this is a very residential area, and this is something for us that's very new, and that's the main reason why we're opposed to the fact that it's residential and what we plan on doing. And I want to thank you for this meeting, because you've been very more informative. But there's a lot, again, that the people are asking questions for. And I hope when there is the next meeting, that you have the information that would make it easy for us to get a better understanding of what you plan on doing. And I just want to thank you.
No, thank you. Look, we understand that, and we're coming here with, a good faith understanding that this is something that we're trying to build on, right? And we know that you guys are here in good faith as well. So for us, it's important that we balance our interests, because again, this is not the first property that we looked at. If there's no legal hurdle, if there's no reason for us to cause, we're not here to harm anyone. We're not here to make people upset. We're not here to lose your property values. Matter of fact, statistically, most mosques increase the property values of the places around them. And I think someone scoffed at that, but those are just facts. So, Muslims generally are the safest people to be around. We don't drink alcohol. We don't do anything that would be problematic in our vicinities. So this is something that we can, Mayor Bilyles, others in Mecklenburg County, we can, this is information that's out there. These are colleagues in the same area that will, testify on our behalf, that the Muslim community have been great partners in the community. And I don't think we're bringing anything less to Weddington.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming, I appreciate it.
And Darlene, it's Darlene, right? Who? Maybe not, I forgot her name.
Melissa?
I'm sorry. The recommendation was to tear down the newest section of the house, not the old section. The mold count in the old section wasn't that high at all. And I'm a historian buff. I love old houses. So my recommendation to these guys were to, if we're gonna tear something down, tear down the newest part and leave the old part, and maintain the outside so it doesn't decay, and then, leave it there. It's not hurting anything, it's not in the way. It's history.
I feel like you guys are just keeping it there as a placeholder until you can build your mosque one day. That's how I just personally feel about it. We recently had a house that was a historical house on Providence Road taken down and demolished by the Latter-day Saints Tabernacle Church people. And they had septic issues, and come to find out, they cannot, from what we've heard, build per plan because they needed bathrooms, more bathrooms, washer dryer sets, and their septic can't accommodate that. So we don't know what's going on with that, and we've lost an entire historical home site. And we only have a few left. So I'm trying to advocate for that.
Yeah, and I'm an advocate for it too, and that's
Okay,
why I
good.
recommended those guys. And the
Good.
reason it didn't have that high of a mold count is because those houses were built with old growth. So if you've ever been in a house that has the wood is 3 or 4 times heavier than the building material now because of the density. And so everything, I've been in the house up in the attic for a brief moment, and there didn't seem to be any damage whatsoever.
Do they understand about conditional zoning and the fact that it's a legislative decision by the town council? They get to decide if they are going to say yes, or they get to decide if they're gonna say no, and they can give a reason for saying no. They say yes, it's a yes. So I don't know how the town council's gonna feel on this, but
That's
just
why these guys are doing that due diligence.
they're aware of the whole process
Yeah.
then? Okay.
So they're not gonna purchase this piece of property like those guys did the Latter-day Saints until they're comfortable with the results and that they have a positive outcome. It would be ridiculous. I can't believe they did that.
I'm sorry, he's been raising his hand for quite some time.
There was a question earlier about homeless shelters. You guys act surprised with the question, but you never answered it. Is there any plans to have homeless shelters in the
No.
way
No.
on that property,
No.
or any property adjacent to that property?
No, so the homeless shelter that we volunteer at is Roof Above, it's in Uptown. So we go there once a month to serve, but there's no homeless people that we're inviting to the property to be taken care of.
There's no plans, no vision
No,
of that at your
no,
property?
no. So when we talk about serving, we're talking about getting volunteers from our community to serve where the homeless people already are. We're not busing them anywhere, we're not bringing them to our mosque, we're not doing any of that. No.
Yeah, you mentioned that there was no plans of anyone living on the property, no residential properties. Is there any plans of expanding to residential outside of that property, any properties adjacent to that? Or
We
is
don't
you
own
sharing
any of the
land
properties.
across the street? Or is there any plans to build community as far as additional housing, residential community?
No.
Or to expand your campus, maybe buy land maybe across the street, to expand it and make it more than 7 acres.
Right now, we can, we barely have the money to just get this going, right? We have no plans to expand.
You were talking about dreaming and your dreams and stuff. What kind of vision do you have for the future? Like, if you could get what you could afford and what you could want for your mosque, would it be in a few years to have your debt paid off and to build a building and?
Whatever building happens in the future is gonna happen through the permission of city council, right? So whatever permits, whatever we need, that's gonna be a plan that's put forth if there's anything like that in the future. Currently, we can't imagine thinking of anything until we pay off our debts and the community grows enough to justify any dream that big. But for us, if it's a possibility, then that's something in the future. Right now, no.
I mean, I think all churches dream of expanding and they get bigger.
There's this
and-
beautiful church right in front of the mayor's office. What's the name of that church? On the hill? Like, who wouldn't want something that beautiful, right? Like, if you're saying dreams, then we all have dreams. But is that something that's doable? Is that something the city council would approve? We don't know. And we're not even asking.
You talked about that there's not call to prayer in the United States, and I looked it up, and there are cities now that are adopting, letting call for prayer happen, amplified on speakers. So that does look like maybe there's 20 cities or something around the United States, and I can see more of that happening in the future. So I don't know a lot about that, but
It's not a requirement. So what happens is when it's the time of prayer, I have an app on my phone that notifies me. So in the old days, we didn't have cell phones. So this is how you would notify people that were busy in their work. So is that an obligation? Absolutely not. It's symbolic, and in a lot of cities, it depends on their local ordinance, and they have limitations where certain hours of the day, or maybe once a week, it's allowed, but it's not a 5 times thing. It's not something that's, it's something it's regulated. But is that something that we desire? No. Is this something that we would ever come to the city and ask for? Probably not, because it's not a necessity. It's not something that would affect our prayers in any way.
it's something that if you could get it, you would like to have it, right?
No.
Not really? Okay.
Look, we've been in, the Muslim community has been in Charlotte
I mean,
for
that's
30,
part of who you guys are.
30 years. So if you go to any of the mosques and ask any of them, do you have the call to prayer? No one does. It's not the norm here.
I think some people had some questions.
Yes, sir.
Sorry.
Just real quickly, thank you for hosting this. I don't think you have to. Just know that the frustration.
Even if we didn't, if you want us to meet, we'll come. So it's not that we have to. We want to meet you.
Well, I just want to say, the frustration level here is not at you, you guys. It's our planners have done the best they can. You know, Waxhaw didn't know it was going to grow as fast. And the frustration level is that there's too much, there's no plan. There's no plan to grow without infrastructure. So there's just a frustration over the years that the traffic gets worse and worse. Burns get lower and lower. People are, you know, getting in accidents. So I just didn't want you to think it was.
No, absolutely not. All we're asking is empathy. All we're asking is that we are part of this community. We have people that have lived here for a very long time, and they just want a place of worship. So if a lot of the other congregations, a lot of the other, you know, religions and everyone has something that feels like home, all we're asking is that we want something for ourselves, but something that would not violate any of your safety, any of your concerns, or any of your fears of what this will become in the future. Because the concerns that you have, let's say we have people that are already in this community, I promise you, they have the same concerns. So we're not operating from a place that we're outsiders. We see ourselves as members of this community because we already have congregants that are in this community. So anything that you're afraid of that's going to hurt the city, we would be afraid of too. We just want to make sure that we're balancing the ordinance, the regulation, and the expectations that we have.
I think
Well, I think you've heard loud and clear, pretty much everybody's on the same page in this room. Don't think that spot, that intersection is a very good place. It's been zoned for a reason, to be one, 2 or 3 cars, not 20, not 30, not 50, not 100, certainly not 200. So I think you're getting that from the room here. But
We
thank
like
you
our
again
safety
for
too.
response.
Absolutely.
And we like our quiet too.
We want it to stay residential.
I feel like it's gonna feel like a park out there. We're gonna hear noises that we don't hear. We hear birds when we hear birds when we walk outside, or we don't hear anything, and we value that here.
So we value that, right? So we're not asking to do something that would prevent the deers from coming. We would hope to hear the birds as well.
We're gonna hear traffic, we're gonna hear in and out. This is gonna be a well-used area for your membership, and that's great for you guys. But for us, who's just really used to quiet, and then you've got this really dangerous road there too, it's just not, I think people are having.
So we're waiting on, you know, the reports. We're waiting on more information on how dangerous it is, how traveled it is, how busy it is compared to other places in Weddington. And we're hoping that this is something that is agreeable to everyone. We're hoping that this is going to be safe for us as well as you. We're not adding like a huge number to that based off of our congregation. Yes, there's organic growth, there's potential in the future, but we can communicate on what makes sense for us to make this happen. So we're not giving up. We just want to make sure that the community knows that we want to continue this conversation. And if there's people that want my phone number, if there's people I can talk to, there's been a few of you that have been extra vocal, we want to talk to you. We want to make sure that this is something that works for everyone. Yes?
I will invite you over tomorrow morning
Where?
to come to my house, I live right next door.
Thank you.
And to just drive in and out of my driveway.
Absolutely.
No, really, I'm inviting you, 7120 Newtown Road.
Absolutely.
I will be there at 9, 8, whichever time you want. And I would like you in as many cars as you'd like too.
Nope, it's a Saturday though, it won't be as busy.
Oh, it will be busy on Saturday.
We'll be busy on Saturday.
We could do it Friday night. Well, I know.
No,
it's a Friday
they've
night.
got that.
We
They've got
can do
No,
it
Friday nights is okay for us.
I'm offering you the ability to drive in and out of my driveway, because I can't see when I turn, because all the brush that's in front of your property.
So we were
I'm
told
just
that
saying,
brush
you won't
had
see
to be
them.
removed by the Department of Transportation. They just never did it. So a lot of that brush that's there shouldn't be there anyways. It's a safety hazard and something that we complained about, and they will remove a lot of that brush that prevents the visibility. So a lot of these concerns, like I said, that you're having, we have as well.
Stop. I'm just saying, what I'm saying is the cars, they don't care. You could be, there was an 18-wheeler pulling a water truck, pulling out of my driveway. And these cars were just like, they literally like driving onto the other side of the road so they didn't have to slow down just so they could get out. I have stood in the road to stop traffic. And I am telling you, it doesn't matter, I'm not talking about the brush, I can't see, we can't see.
No,
And I'm okay with that, I like the privacy.
So
But it's dangerous,
I was
you
a-
need to drive it.
I was a clergy person, imam, for 8 years on the plaza in University area and close to CBC. So it's a single road in front of our mosque as well. So it's the same thing, wherever you have a single road, you're going to have issues like that. But every Friday, we had a police officer that would come and for 1 hour manage the traffic so no one would do anything illegal or dangerous. And this was something that was part of the norm for us anyway. So it's
They're
not
not
like,
gonna stop the police officer, I mean.
you don't think people would stop for a police officer?
Alright, we lost half the people, but before they just built the circle down in Marvin, the last one near Firethorn, there was a police officer there. There's a sign that says between certain hours of the day, you cannot make a left. You live in Marvin Creek,
Yeah, I do.
so you know what I'm talking about?
Exactly, yep.
There was that police officer before the circle. They were almost getting run over every single day. Then they got 2 police officers, and it was still happening. And I know, because I know the police officers, I know the people who are driving. It's insane. I'm not saying it's children. It's grown-ass adults, sorry. But it is. And it is insane. And you didn't create the problem. I'm not putting this on you at all. I honestly am really not, because I didn't create the problem buying my property either. It was there, it's happening. Time did and all the rest of the stuff. But I think it's pretty understood that I think having a community of some, anything on that property that's not residential, it's just gonna make it worse and more dangerous. And there are people that we love driving up and down the roads, and I'm sure we love your families, just, I would never want anything to happen to anybody. But 3 weeks ago, we had to watch the fire department pull 2 cars actually got in an accident right there over, right where the bridge is. It's on half my property, half Union County owns the other side of the street where Whipport Will was. They bought that, and they had to pull them out of the car. Whether or not they pulled them out alive, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know. I had to go back now. But that's weekly. I'm just saying.
It's 7:10 right now. I know a lot of people are leaving right now. The mosque that I was next to